All right, this is my third try. Trying to make this video to show you how to do this. So I made this video is specifically how to create this little pocket pouch cover for, it has a little wraparound string, and I made it to hold the flip book that was, oh, it's upside down. The flip book that this design is by Natasa from Treasure Books. It's really fun. The pages open and flip, so it's just a really fun project. I highly recommend it. Anyway, I wanted it, because I'm going to sell these, I wanted it to have a carrying case to come in, so that's how I ended up making the carrying case. This is the first one I made. It was trial and error. The second one is probably still going to be trial and error because I don't really have a system down yet, but I will try the best I can to explain how to make this. All right, and I already did it once and didn't do it right, so this will be the second try on how to get this right. So the first thing I did was take a standard piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. And it helps if you have an 18-inch ruler. I tried it with a 12-inch. It's a little tricky. And you are going to draw, this is basically what we're making is one of those envelopes that they make out of a square piece of paper. That's exactly what this ends up being. And the way I do that, mostly when I see the videos, they fold it, but then you got a crease in the middle, and I don't want the crease. So what I'm going to do first is begin by making an X in the center. So I'm just going corner to corner with my 18-inch ruler and figuring out where the center is. So that's the center. All right, and we want to work with this as a diamond shape, not as a square shape. For this particular project, because that's what I did the last time, and this is just made with standard 8.5 by 11. If you use 8.5 by 11 paper, if you work with your cardstock square-wise, it doesn't make big enough folders to close over the center. So if you're using 8.5 by 11, you're going to need to use cardstock, and you're going to need to use it like a diamond. And that makes it bigger. That'll make all your sides fold over. All right, so that's the middle. The next thing, so this is the one that's going in here. I love those colors together. Yummy. All right, so the next thing I think I'm going to do is figure out, where's my 18? I'm going to place this on my mat here and line it up with the lines on the mat. There we go. And then move it over. And I think that will help me line up the middle of my, all right, so now everything is in the middle, and I'm going to put this in the middle. All right, and that is pretty daggone close. And I can measure if I want. Let's measure just to see how close I am to the center. So I'm going to hold this down, and this is to the center is 5 3/4, and to the center on this side is just a tiny hair more than 5 3/4. So I just got to move it a little bit this way. And this is 5 1/4, and the bottom is 5 1/4. All right, so this is the exact middle. And I'm going to trace it, just the corners, because I don't want to mark up the whole inside, because then, you know, when somebody opens it up, they might see the markings. I can try to erase them, but sometimes paper doesn't, pencil doesn't erase too well on buff matte cardstock. It kind of leaves a mark when you erase. So I don't want to put too many marks on the side here. All right, so now I have the square that shows me how big this is and where it's going to be when it's sitting in the middle. From there, I want to make a square, a rectangle bigger than this by 1/8 of an inch on each side. So and that's very arbitrary. That's not there's nothing set in stone. I just picked that number. The reason I want it bigger is because if it was the same side, when I went to close the side flaps, they would mound up. They would be round and puffy. So I wanted it to have plenty of room in here so that the extra folded corners I've got, edges I've got, will go around the book and it'll stay in there. Also, this is actually a little bit wide enough that you could fit a pencil in there if you wanted to, which is kind of neat. All right, so I'm arbitrarily picking 1/8 of an inch on each side, and I am just going to mark that all the way up at the top and all the way up at the bottom, because that's where I know I'm going to score. So I'm going to use a scoring board on this next. If you don't have a scoring board, you can mark it, and then once you mark it, you can score it with, the back of your. Sometimes I use the back of this softly, and that'll give you a slight crease to be able to fold. All right, so I'm just going to do that on all 4 sides. So I'm marking approximately 1/8 of an inch outside of my tracing shape of the little flip book. So let me just mark that on all 4 sides and flip it again. And I've got a nice shadow here. It looks like here's my shape of my book. So I'm just, again, marking about 1/8, between 1/8 and 1/4. Top and bottom, and I should have one last side to do. Let's see. There. I think it's this one. There. So I've done this way. Which one am I missing? Did I do them all? There's this one. It's this one I haven't done. Okay, last side. Okay. Alrighty. Next thing I'm going to do is take my scoring board and this is a little tricky because, as you can see, it's not going to fit in here any way to hold it steady. So that was the hardest thing about doing this, was figuring out where to get my lines. And this time I drew lines. The first time I did it, I did not draw lines. So that was really sketchy. And then making sure that I'm getting it on the same line. The only way I know how to do that. So my pencil mark is here. I'm in a groove on my scoring board. And what I did was count. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm on the 12th groove. I'm sure somebody that does this a lot would know how to do this differently. I just don't do a whole lot of scoring, and I don't do a whole lot of this kind of stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's where it needs to line up on the bottom. All right, so I now have it lined up on this scoring ridge. And I'm going to do one where I marked, and then I'm going to do another one right next to it, the little skinny groove next to it, towards the point. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So I'm doing one where I marked. So here's my square that's the shape of my pocket. Here's my first pencil mark. I did one groove where my pencil mark is, and I did a second groove closer to the point. And that's going to give me this fold. I'm creating this fold. So I'm just going to do that all the way around. And where's my pencil mark? My pencil mark is here. Move it a little closer so I don't have to count 12 grooves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, much less. 11 this time. All right, so I'm on the 11th groove. 1. Oh, that's way off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right there. Okay. So I'm doing the first pass on the pencil line. I'm doing the second pass on the next groove closer to the point. And that looks crooked. And that is definitely crooked. The whole thing is crooked. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. We got a problem here. All right. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hold that very firm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All the way up here. All right. Oh, jeez. Well, this side's going to be bunchy because I'm just not getting this right. So let me just keep this here. It's just not going to be perfect on this side. We'll get it better the next time. All right. And I don't know how else to do this. This is the only way I know how to do this. So, all right. And where's the one here? I got a line here and a line here. So anyway, we're doing this to all 4 corners. So I'll probably stop the tape and I'll come back when I've done all 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And last side, where's my pencil mark? There's my pencil mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just counting grooves so that I can line up the top with the bottom because it's a diamond shape. It doesn't fit on the scoring board, so it's a little tricky to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just counting the grooves, and that's how I'm lining it up. So the numbers that I'm saying don't have anything at all to do with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measurements or anything. It is just a way for me to know where to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For some reason, I just can't get this to stay in the right place on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's try it one more time. There we go. That's better. All right, we got it on the one line, and then we're moving to the next line out closer to the, God. All right, well, that's really crookedy, so hopefully it's not going to matter. All right, so now you should have something that looks like this. Hoping you can, maybe you can't see because of the sunlight. Anyway, it's scored all over here. And we have these areas here that are diamonds or triangles. So I'm going to be cutting those out. And I'm cutting them out on the line that is the closest in to, this is going to be a flap. So the closest into the flap. And that is actually where my nearest where my pencil line was, and I'm going all the way in to the center, and here all the way into the center. Oh, and this is the side that's really messy, so I'm not really sure. Oh yeah, there's the one I'm supposed to cut all the way into the center. I wish there was a, let me get a, I have a chalk pencil. Let me get a chalk pencil here somewhere, and I can show where the, here we go. All right, because I can tell. So I have, those are my 2 marks that I made using my scoring board. And I am cutting the inside one on all 4 sides. So I'm cutting this one, and I'm cutting it all the way in here's the center where all of them meet. I'm cutting all the way into the center. And then I'm doing the same thing on this side. So here's my scoring marks. These are my double scoring marks. And I am cutting all the way into the center. So I'm doing that on all 4 sides. Here's my scoring marks. This is the one that's really messy. There's my scoring marks. I'm cutting all the way in to the center. Here's my scoring marks here. And I've got 2 sets of scoring marks. So I'm cutting all the way in to the inside there. Okay, so now what we have is something that looks like, let me put the shade down so we don't have quite so much of a shadow going on here, because that's kind of a problem. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now we have something that looks like this, and we've got all of our scoring lines. One of them's kind of goofy, so we'll hope that works itself out when I go to fold it. So when I fold it now, though, what's going to happen is, where's my... I wanted the one without the foam on it. All right, so when I fold it, I'm going to fold it on the inside one first. Fold that up, put it to the second one. Fold that up. And just go around and do all the folds. And then from there, we have to figure out how to not make it overlap quite so much. And I got kind of tricky on mine. You don't have to get quite so tricky on yours. All right. This one was the one that was messy, so I'm just going to make it work. There and there. Let's crease that one good. And the last one, fold it up once, and then fold it the second time. All right, so now what you have is one of these, I don't know what it's called, a flange. I don't know what they call that. I heard somebody call it a gusset. I'm not sure what that, but anyway, you have this piece that allows your booklet to stay inside without the flaps being mounded. However, everything is really big. So the side ones in particular, as you can see, go way bigger than they need to be. So I had to figure out how to make them the right side. So what I'm going to do to make this easier to understand is I am going to take a piece of paper, because now what you have to do is make these two match, and you have to make them do whatever they need to do. And because it's cardstock, like normally with soft paper, I would just do this and fold them together and cut them. But because it's cardstock, it's not going to bend real well to make them match. So I'm going to make a template, and that way I will know how to cut, how much to cut off, and I will know that they're all the same. So I'm just going to put this in the corner. I'm going to trace it. So I know that this is the size of my flap. And from here, I can cut this, make the template of how the shape that I want that side flap to be. And then I can cut both of them exactly the same. All right, so this is top to bottom, and I can tell it's top to bottom because it's rectangular, and my little flip book only fits in here one way. It doesn't fit this way. All right, so this is the top and the bottom. This is the side flap, and when I fold it over, it's too big. It goes all the way past the crease, which I knew it was going to do. So I'm going to take this, and now I want this to look more envelope shaped. And I want it to have a little bit more opening here so that it's easy to get this out of. Because this is all, like, once it's closed up, you can't get anything out of there. So I want it to be more of an envelope shape. So because of that, I want this to start to slope about there. And I know that I need to cut off at least 1 inch. So let's just arbitrarily find the center of this. Here's the center, and that's going to be about 1 inch. So that'll give me something to shoot for. And now I'm going to fold this in half. Get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Fold this in half. Okay, and now I want it to have that nice, and you can tell with this one, I want it to have this nice curvy look that looks like an envelope on both ends. I want it to look curvy like the envelope. So since I want it to look curvy like the envelope, I am just going to start right here. I made this backwards. I'm a righty, so let's change this over to this side here. And the center is here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off. All right, so starting from here, I want this rounded like a regular envelope. And then I want it to go up to the top. And I'm going to cut it in a little bit more. Let's just see. So I can practice with it. And practicing with it lets me see if I've got it the right size and shape. So if this folds over, yeah, see, it's even too big. It's coming too far into the middle. So I can cut off like another, I would say probably another inch. Because I don't need it to I only need it to overlap just past the middle. Here's the middle. So I only need it to overlap to like here. So that means I can cut off that much more. So let's just fold it and cut off that much more. All right. So here's this is going to be this side. If I fold it over, yeah, I think that's going to be just right. I would like this this is a little more than I want here. So I'm going to make this a little less, make this curve a little bit less. I really want it to be easy to get that booklet out. Oh yes, I like that. Because I want to be able, when you open it, I want you to see it. All right, so this is what these two flaps are going to look like. So now I need to trace them, and I'm going to trace them from you have the bottom of your scoring mark. You want the second scoring mark. So you want to put this lined up with the second scoring mark. And I'll do it in the white so you can see it better. Here's my 2 scoring marks. That way you can see 1 scoring mark, 2 scoring marks. There's my 2 scoring marks. I'm lining it up against the second scoring mark. And I'm just going to trace it. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I've got my scoring mark here and my scoring mark here. This one's a little goofy because I messed it up on the scoreboard. So here's my 2 scoring marks. I'm going to line it up on the second scoring mark. And I'm going to trace this. And now when I cut both of these, they will be the same. The first time I did it, on my other one, I cut one side at a time, and then I had to figure out how to match the second side, and that was a mess. So this is a much better way to do this. So now I'm just going to cut this off right along that mark that we just put down. Okay, and this way the same. I like using that white pencil on this blue board. Boy, it's really much easier to see than a regular pencil, and it'll wipe off easier. So I think I have to remember to do that in the future. Because the regular pencil, I got to go back and erase all the marks. And sometimes that doesn't work well on cardstock. Sometimes you can see it. All right, so let's see how that looks. So now this is right side up. I put this in here. As you can see, my score marks are bigger than my thing. Ah, perfect. Okay, so we've got our sides done. The next thing that we want to do is our top and bottom. And I find this like too big. I don't want it to go above the, I just don't want it to go above that. So I'm just going to round that off a little bit. Nothing scientific about this. I'm just rounding it off a little bit. Oh, that's kind of crooked. Let me just trim that. Okay. So now it kind of blends in. See, you can't even see it. Can't see where it is. All right. Now, from here, you can do a number of things. You can simply put a piece of rope with something over top of it here and a button here and do something fancy. I wanted to make this actually tuck into here. So I made a slit and a tuck and the button wrap. All right, so let's talk about the slit first. The way to do that is to, let me get this out of the way, fold this all up, and I looked at, first of all, I need to find the middle, and I always use my work surface because it's got built-in rulers, which is really nice. So that's here's the middle. So that means this is the middle. It also means that this is a little bit off, so I'm going to trim off this side just a little bit. Somehow this is not quite center, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off of that so it's center. Okay. All right. Center, center. So now I'm looking at this edge. That's the fold over flap. Ooh, I love having this white pencil. All right, so that's the flap. And I want to make sure this can tuck in at least an inch. And that's very arbitrary. I just want to make sure it's enough of a tongue to flap in that it stays. So I'm just going to arbitrarily say I want it to tuck here. And that's the furthest place I want to tuck. And that's going to be about here. In order to make sure that I have my lines in the same place, I'm going to take a ruler and just measure that just to see that I'm getting it. This is right there. This is right there. Oh, I am spot on Susie today. All right, spot on Susie. What are you doing next? So I'm going to put this on my mat. And I am, once again, I'm going to use the grid on here because I love it. It makes everything so easy. Here's my dots that tell me where I want to make my slice. And I'm just going to put my ruler there and slice from one dot to the next. And because I put the dots past the width of the flange, it means that it'll be the perfect width for it to go into. All right, so let's see. It should have worked. Let's see if it works. Here's my thing. Put this in, close it up, close up this, and this tucks into the flap perfectly. All right, so let's mark that so you can see the flap. All right, so that's perfect. Now that will stay like that. If you want to leave it like that, that's fine. I like to dress my things up a whole lot. So I have to find something to put a little decor on here. And I wasn't prepared to do that. So I don't have anything really handy. Let's see what I got. I have, this is a wine themed journal. So I'm just finishing that up. I've got a bunch of wine themed stuff sitting right next to me. So let's see what we can find to put on there. I've got all these beautiful cards, little tiny cards. I don't think I want a square one though. I think I'm going to cut around. Where's my round cutter? There we go. No, I don't think I want it round either. So I want to put my cord, I want my cord to be glued under something. So I'm trying to decide what it is that I'm going to glue my cord under. Let's use this. So I'm just going to cut this out. This gorgeous paper is an Etsy find. I don't know who the artist is, but it's so dreamy. Oh my gosh. I think it's like 6 or 8 cards. I made them, I resized them so that they're tiny, but they're full half sheets. And they are just, the artwork is just beautiful in there. All right, so let me decide what I'm doing. First I wanted to get this just the rectangle, because I don't think I just think it's going to look weird having a rectangle sitting there with the string. I'm thinking. How about if we do this? No, don't like that either. All right, well, for demonstration's sake, let's just do a what if. And I will work with anything. Let me find a piece of something here. Got it. This is a piece from inside. All right, so you can do a couple things. I was just thinking, I think it would be really neat. I am going to take this is a 2-inch circle cutter, and I'm going to cut a half circle here. And I am going to mount that right where the this flap meets the cut. Okay, so here's my cut. The slice, there's the slice that we just made. And I'm going to attach this piece of half circle right above that slice. So when I open it up, it's going to look like that. Okay? And I'm going to do this very temporarily because this is not, I'm going to mess with this later, but I wanted to show you how to create this last bit. I'm just going to put a dot on here just to kind of hold it in place. And glue that. That would be where I would want it. So I'm just going to put that in there as a marker for right now. The next thing we're going to do is, so you wouldn't glue that down yet. The next thing we need is a piece of string to make our little wraparound thing. So here's a piece of string. And we are going to need a button. So you're going to cut with a 1-inch circle. You can use bigger than a 1-inch circle. But I think for this size project, the 1-inch circle is fine. So you're going to cut a 1-inch circle out of something thick, cardstock. I would say thicker than cardstock. This is almost, oh no, not that. That's gorgeous. That's got a gold hue to it. Let me find just some regular piece of cardboard here. There we go. This is perfect. This is regular old, like, cereal box. So you're going to cut a circle. If I can get my hole punch to cut through that. Hold on. No, this hole punch is not going to cut through that, so I'm going to have to use something thinner. All right, just use regular cardstock, and I'll do 2. So if you're using regular cardstock, you probably want to do 2 of these just to make sure it's thick enough to hold up to wrapping it around. All right, so I've got 2. I think I'm going to do 3. That's not really thick. This is pretty thin cardstock. All right, so that's pretty thick. And I'm going to just glue them all together, and that's going to make basically just a cardboard button. So just glue them all together. Oops, glue. All right. So now, oh yeah, that's a nice stiff surface. That's very nice. Okay, and put my pin back in. And now you want to cover that button with anything. I'll use this same stuff so that it matches. If you've got a print, you can use a print on either of these. I'm just using this so that it matches. And I'm going to glue that on there. A little bit of glue, a little bit of glue. Alrighty. Oh, if only I could see, I could put the pin back in the top of the glue bottle. There we go. Okay. And stick this on there. Okay, so now our button matches our half circle, so that's kind of fun. I like that. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to put a hole, and I've got an awl here. You can use a pin, whatever. I'm going to put a hole in the center of this, and once again, I use my mat board because it's got all the directions I need. I can get it perfectly centered everywhere right here. A little bit over. So you're going to put a hole right in the center. All the way through. And then you're going to decide where you want this. And I'm going to say the top of the button should be about 3/4 of an inch from the top of your slit. And I marked my center, so I know my center is there. Here's the center of my button. So I just want to line that up so that center is center. And then hold it in place. And you're going to go in with your awl and punch a hole in the same place. Okay. All right. The next thing we are going to need, and then we're going to be done, is the attachment. So we're going to need a brad. I am going to use a bright color brad just so that you can see it. So I'm going to use a bright yellow one, just so it's very visible. So I'm going to take the brad. I'm going to put it through the button here, and here's a tricky thing that I do once I get this through here. Okay, put the brad through the hole. All right, here's something I do. I took regular cardboard. This is definitely thick cardboard. Punch a hole in it, put a little slot in it. When you are using the brads and the buttons to make the wraparound tie, you're going to put the button through your hole in your thing that you're putting it in. Now, when this is done, you're going to want to wrap your cord around here. If you close the back of your brad, there's not going to be room. So I made this, and I slide it over top of, it's in between the button and the back. And now when I close my brad, I'm just going to close this, make this, open it up there, get it nice and flat, and pull this out. Now I know there's space in between here for the rope or string to go around. So that's, and I just keep that right in with my brads. I use it every time I'm doing this, and it's very handy. All right, so you're going to want to glue something on the back of this to cover it up. So it could be something pretty. On the back of this one, I just put, since this is book themed, I just put a little bunch of books, but that's the back of my brad right there. So you can cover that up. All right, so this side is all ready. The last thing we have to do is attach our cord. To me, this is regular hemp, and it's just too thick. So I am going to separate this out for a number of reasons. So now I like the texture of it, but this is it's just too much. So I'm separating it out. And now this, I just put that there to hold it in place so you could see where it was going. So I'm going to just lift that up a little bit. And I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to glue on here. I'm going to glue this on here. And then glue that on there. And then this goes in here. And now you have your closure. And this wraps around here. Come on, go under there. Got a Band-Aid on my finger, so it doesn't want to work. There we go. Okay. So that makes your closure. You can decorate this however you like. See, I did this one. I put all kinds of stuff on the outside of this one. But that creates the pocket, the carrier, the closure, the slit. That's the whole project, one and done. I hope this helps. I hope you can figure out how to do this. If you have questions, just put them in the comment or direct message me. I'll be happy to help you out. This is Lisa Stearns, and you can find me at Lisa Stearns Journals on Ko-fi.com/Lisa Stearns Journals.